I come from the Hólar University, where we have a department of tourism and a department of equine science as well. I want to use the opportunity to thank the organizers of this conference for creating this great event for enthusiasts on horses and tourism. Today I'm not going to talk directly about our project Writing Native Nordic Breeds. I'm going to talk about horse-based tourism in Iceland. The main emphasis in my presentation is on an ongoing process or a research on the business of horse-based tourism, where I'm trying to identify the success criteria of horse-based tourism in Iceland. This research is on its preliminary stage. It is actually a pre-project for a research on the scope and business development within the Icelandic horse industry. The reason I started this research on the tourism sector of the Icelandic horse industry is that horse-based tourism has been my field of study for several years. And I have, among other things, written a handbook, a business handbook for operators in horse-based tourism, especially horse rentals and longer riding tours. There are about 77,500 horses held in Iceland. The Icelandic horse is the only breed in the island, as it is, for reasons of health, forbidden to import any horses to Iceland. As you might know, the Icelandic horse is famous for its variety of colors, good temperament, and its 5 gaits, as the breed can have pace and tölt, in addition to the basic paces of walk, trot, and gallop. In October 2008, about 226,000 Icelandic horses were registered abroad, but we have an international stud book for the breed. Those numbers of horses might not sound very high, but when it comes to comparing it with the ratio of horses per persons in Iceland, we might see it in a slightly different way. As there are 242 horses per 1,000 persons in Iceland, which is a great deal more than horses per 1,000 persons in other European countries. According to a research report on horses and the horse industry in Europe, written by Liljenstolfe, the biggest population of horses per 1,000 inhabitants is 31 in Sweden. The average number of horses per 1,000 persons in the 23 countries listed in this report turned out to be 13. But Iceland was not included in that research. In my area, the northwest of Iceland, the ratio is 2,600 horses per 1,000 persons. In the beginning, I did really doubt those numbers, and I do admit that I calculated over and over again. But then I started to think of me and my family. We are a hobby people in horsemanship. We have about 25 horses, and we are 5 of us. So 5 horses per person. This huge number of horses means that in Iceland we do at least have enough many horses to run various businesses providing horse-based tourism services. But horses and horsemanship is a basis of multifarious business operation in Iceland. Horsemanship is a widely practiced sport and a lifestyle of a large number of people. Breeding, training, selling, shoeing, and teaching are among various factors of the industry. But the economical extent of the Icelandic horse industry is unknown. About 80 businesses offer riding in the form of horse rental, ranging from an hour to 1 day, or longer riding tours up to 10 days. Those are the most common forms of horse-based tourism in Iceland. Various other forms of horse-based tourism exist, like live horse shows where guests can see the horses and learn about their 5 gaits, various colors, and their important role in the everyday life of Icelanders for centuries. Competitions and cultural exhibitions can be mentioned as well. About 17% of foreign guests in Iceland go riding during their stay, according to numbers from the Icelandic Tourism Board. In 2011, 566,000 guests visited Iceland. So the number of foreign guests riding in Iceland that year can be estimated as 86,000. The spending and length of trips is unknown. The economical extent of the local market is not known, but there are, for example, many popular horse-related events which are only marketed for local people. The number of Icelanders using the service of horse rentals and participating in longer tours is not known. Traveling on own horses during the summer is common in Iceland, but the economical extent of services sold in relation to those trips is not known either. Information on structure and development of businesses within the sector are limited, although some research have been conducted within our department at Hólar. In my research, I am aiming to fill those gaps to some extent. The research at this stage is conducted through open-ended interviews with operators in horse-based tourism. The interviews are analyzed through grounded theory approach where constant comparative method is used, meaning that few interviews are being conducted and analyzed in the beginning before data gathering is finished. So the process of data gathering and analyzing is partly parallel. The main research question at this stage is, what is the success criteria like for the horse-based tourism in Iceland? Analyzed themes are being split up to 2 groups, that is the internal and the external environment of businesses. The internal themes that have emerged so far from the interviews are the operators, development of businesses, and the business operation. The external themes are image, guests, and community. The operators tend to define themselves as farmers, even though some of them don't have a farming background. They seem to be proud of their roots and traditions, and especially in longer tours and horse shows, they aim to introduce to their guests. In most cases, they don't have education directly related to their current work, but they commonly mention that they have learned by doing. They do as well mention that learning by experience is expensive, as it is really time-consuming. They also seem to be hardworking, patient, honest, tenacious, and independent. But most of all, they are concerned about their guests' safety and positive experience. Most of the interviewed operators have been running their business for several years, even up to 35 years. Family business is common, and in most cases it started as a hobby or from another family business in horsemanship or farming. They claim that startup cost is high and operating cost as well. Developing such a business is a long-term process, including hard work, long working hours, low pay, and economical uncertainty. When discussing long riding tours, one of the operators said to me, "This just took over our lives." And later on she said, "This is not for normal people. If I would have known how hard it is, I would have hesitated to start such a business." But despite that, the operators really seem to enjoy their daily work. There also seems to be an increased focus on quality, safety of guests and staff, profitability, and product development in low season compared to our earlier research. Longer riding tours are, for example, only offered in June to August, but at least one business I knew of has started to offer longer tours during the winter in the north, where the unexpected weather conditions are a part of the experience. The business operation is an important theme in this research. Operators seem to compare profitability of services offered rather by insight than by calculations. They do in general claim that horse rental is a more profitable product than longer tours, but the total turnover is higher in longer tours. Most operators claimed that operating expenses had increased hugely following the crisis and the collapse of the Icelandic krona. And they said that operators in horse-based tourism should not expect an impulse profit. Qualified employees and horses are rather hard to find, according to operators. Employees should be able to work with guests, horses, and do all the work needed during the season, including, for example, shoeing, food preparation, and guiding. Horses should be well balanced, smooth, and reliable in all situations. The location of farm or the workplace matters regarding accessibility for guests and cost of transport for the businesses. Surroundings and transport affect possibilities of product development. But most of the businesses aim to minimize brought-in services, and most of the operators and their family or employees manage to cover most of the work that has to be done to run a business like this. But some of the businesses buy, for example, accounting services. As the high season is short in horse-based tourism, most of the businesses have variable sources of income. For example, horse farming, training, sheep farming, and other tourism services. And some of the operators work outside of the farm. In the external environment of the businesses, image building, customers, and the community are important themes. The voice of the customers is silent in this research, but operators aim to develop an image of providing experience of traditional countryside life, locally made food, provincial atmosphere, and they also emphasize peace, quietness, and vastness of the Icelandic nature. A former research among operators in horse-based tourism in Iceland indicated that they saw their customers as guests or traveling companions. This research supports that assumption, but it also awakes the question of whether operators and guests in longer tours develop bonds of friendships during the tour. Examples of guests that meet in a tour, coming over and over again, riding the same trail with the same operator, raises the question of what attracts the guests. Yeah. Is it the horse, the nature, or might it as well be a reunion of a traveling group? Among Icelanders, it is common that the same group of friends meet once a year and travel by own horses for several days. The planning and the preparation is an important process and the reason to meet now and then during the year. Following the trip, a final meeting is arranged for photo shows and revision of the trip. All businesses are a part of a community, and surprisingly, competition did not seem to be an issue, even though the operators' neighbors were planning to start up a similar business. Operators emphasized cooperation with neighbors, and one mentioned that mentioned that even though it was more profitable for his business to provide all service at the farm, he was happy to be able to contribute a part of the income to service providers in the neighborhood during the travel, especially where the local people had poor opportunities to make an extra income. But what connects those business themes, and what is the success criteria for horse-based tourism like? As the research is still ongoing, it is hard to argue for a certain criteria. But at this stage of the research, my theory is that there is a common factor or a thread that affects all the business themes described here. For the guests, it is a premise for traveling. For the horse-based tourism businesses, it is what their business is about or maybe should be about. It is the service. Operators usually don't use words like service, service development, or service management, or other terms used in theoretical discussion of service. But on the other hand, they talk about their guests and how to fulfill their expectations. To my opinion, that is a discussion of service and service quality. Several elements which have been mentioned here can be identified as a part of a success criteria for horse-based tourism businesses. But further research is much needed to develop this criteria in more details. And as I do really hope that there will soon be another conference like this, I will hopefully be able to present a further developed success criteria for horse-based tourism at our next conference about horses and tourism. Thank you.